Hi, it's the real Nick Shell, not the character that I create for all those videos that make me popular, those videos that I hate doing, those videos that don't come from my heart. Videos like this definitely come from my heart. And I had mentioned that this was all just based off of a guy named Jarmo who left a comment saying, hey, would you give me some advice on, for any guys, who are gonna be going to college, what do I need to know? So I made that video, it was popular. The next day, I made another one of those videos alongside two of those other stupid videos that I do for the other thing I talk about. Well, the guy going to college thing became a lot more popular than that. So I'm like, there's a ray of hope. I know that we're in the middle of COVID-19 and all that stuff, but there's hope that I could actually break free and get to do the videos that I actually care about, videos that come from my heart, helping mentor young men who are able to be mature enough to realize life doesn't necessarily continue in the same way it does when you're in high school. In fact, you'll be judged and perceived a lot differently once you get out of high school. So I really appreciate Jarmo for suggesting this series here. So just to look at some fan mail here too, because I'm like, man, this just makes me so happy that people can appreciate these videos. The newest one I posted this morning was called Advice to Guys Going to College, What I Do for a Living, and what you can learn from it. So 5 thumbs up there. Looking at some of these comments. Jarmo, loving these videos. Stinky Cheese. Nick Shell with all the answers, and I got 2 thumbs up. Bruce Wang, this is gold. So those are a few of the comments that just came in real time. The free market is supporting this, and man, there's hope. There's hope that I can make this my thing instead of the other stupid thing that I hate doing videos on. But I am a libertarian. I do understand a bit about finance and how things work as far as you have to cater to what's going to make you money. And in the video that I'm referring to right now, what I do for a living, what you can learn from it, I talked about how it's a matter of knowing what my skill set is, being able to make a career off of that, and making a side hustle off of it as well. And basically using other people's boredom in a way that I can make money from that. So that's definitely a mindset that you're going to see for men who are successful in business, not men who are in debt, but men who find multiple ways to make money. I think that's definitely very important. Being rich, not important. Being able to make money and manage that, very important. Specifically though, what I want to talk about in this video is actually the one before this one that was called Advice to Guys Going to College, How to Be Attractive to Girls When You Are Insecure. Now what I'm not going to be talking about in this video is girls, but I want to talk about being insecure, because the person who left the comment that started that video, they had admitted that they were, I think, 16 years old and insecure, shy and insecure, I think is what they said. So what I want to present to you is the concept that being insecure is a choice. You get to choose whether you're insecure. So remember, this is your invite to think like a mature man, a 39-year-old man who's lived a lot more experience, who's had a lot of failures in life, a lot of successes, ultimately caused by all those risks that I took and got me to this point. I do not describe myself as insecure. I would never really say there was one point that I was just specifically insecure. Inexperienced, yes. And I think it's important that we don't assume that those two are necessarily the same. I think for a lot of people, the moment you start getting more wisdom, when you get more knowledge, then suddenly it builds your confidence. It's not to say that you were insecure before, it's that you learn to build confidence in knowing how to build your individual idea of who you are. So what I want to remind you of, so just again, the concept is being insecure is a choice. I know it's easy to disagree when you first hear that. Being insecure is a choice. But it's like this. There is a default, and then there's the thing that you can become should you be able to think outside of that box. In other videos I've made on this channel, I've talked about how most people by default are a victim. They see themselves as a victim instead of the non-default, where you have to choose to see yourself as victorious. So let me just review that with you again. So most people by default, until they're told differently, until they learn better, most people as a victim are going to criticize others, fear change, hold grudges, already think they know everything, blame others for their failures, have a sense of entitlement, and they don't set goals. But once you realize, wait, that's the default, that's the basic bro, I don't want to be that, then you realize, wait, there's a better way where I actually have more control over my own life. Yeah, there is. So it's choosing to think victoriously. So the opposite of the things I just said. So instead of criticizing others, you're complimenting others. Instead of fearing change, you're embracing change. Instead of holding grudges, you're forgiving others. Instead of thinking you know everything and assuming that your perspective as a 16-year-old is how it's going to be the rest of your life, instead, you're always learning from an older man who can teach you what happens beyond high school. And instead of blaming others, you accept responsibility for your failures. As I did in the beginning of this video, I said, I have experienced lots of failures and rejection in my life. I've also faced a lot of acceptance and success. But you get both in the midst of living your life. Also, a victim has a sense of entitlement, whereas someone who's victorious has a sense of gratitude. They're glad for what they have, not worried about what they don't have. And then lastly, whereas a victim never sets goals, someone who's victorious sets goals and develops plans, which is ultimately what you're involving yourself in right now. Developing plans, allowing yourself to realize, how does an insecure guy become a confident man? Well, ultimately, again, it's a matter of realizing how much you actually have in control of your own life if you will allow it. I'm going to put this up on the screen, so if you want to pause it and check out a visual of this. So here it is. This is something I typed out a couple years ago in regards to emotional intelligence. So there's the list if you wanted to pause that. There you go. That way I'm not covering it. Okay. Now moving on to the next slide here. I want to remind you of this that I made a couple years ago. Be ready to pause this too. Nick Shell's top 10 list of masculine traits based on society's perception. So I'm going to put that up there if you want to pause that and study that for a moment. There we go. So let's go through these. So again, the whole concept is being insecure is a choice. You have to learn how to not be insecure anymore. But you might be surprised how quickly you can become secure in yourself simply by understanding that, imagine that you are in a coloring book. You're a cartoon version of yourself and you're just a blank grayish white recycled paper look. Just your frame, just the lines, the black lines, okay? So imagine coloring that in. So that's what understanding your masculine identity is all about, coloring that in. What do you look like beyond just this basic sketch? So here we go. The first thing is to be confident. I've said many times before, society, the other person, in other words, has no idea whether it's real confidence or fake confidence. If you appear to be confident, if you say things positively with a straight posture, smiling, eye contact, if you appear to be confident, then you are confident as far as they're concerned. It's all about anything you believe is true in your mind. So if they believe you're confident, even if you know you're not. If they believe it, again, just a couple tips there. You're standing up straight, you're looking at them in the eyes, you're smiling, you're speaking with a firm yet positive voice. So that's number one, being confident or appearing to be. Number two, respecting women and helping his fellow man. In other words, loving others, loving his neighbor as himself. So here's the thing, there's a lot of players out there in college, a lot of guys that are going there for that reason, and just as many girls who are into that. And as I'm going to make in another video to follow this one, is to explain that people pretty much find the right kind of match for them. So if you're looking for a respectable girl, and because you're a respectable man, you're going to find that because you respect women to begin with. And similarly, you respect your fellow man. You see men as an ally, the ones who are respectable men, who have good character. Next, he finds his identity in his unique skill set. So how else can you fill in your identity and know what you're good or bad at? I mentioned before, you got to figure out what you're bad at, math and science and engineering, to find out what you're good at. The opposite, usually, communication, spelling, writing, performing, communicating, if I haven't already said that. You learn what you're good at by finding out the opposite of what you're bad at, because that helps you, therefore, what am I going to study? What am I going to make a job about? What am I going to find my identity when I'm having conversations? What do I talk about when people ask me about me? I'll know what to talk about when they ask about me. Speed through the rest of these. Number four, healthy and active. You all know that my gym is reopened. I'm back in the gym and I have a very strict diet. I always have, but now more than ever. That's very important as far as becoming a confident person instead of someone who's insecure. Next is being decisive. When you look at when you look at a lot of teenage boys, they're indecisive. And when you look at a lot of men who you don't respect, they're indecisive. Michael Scott is a joke on The Office. So is Andy Bernard, because they're over the age of 35 and they're completely indecisive, and they base their own level of confidence on what they think other people think about them. So as far as being secure in yourself, it's a matter of being decisive. Next, being committed. Yeah, I mean, little things like, for me, I was at the same place working for 12 years before they finally shut down. Actually, tomorrow makes 2 years that I've been working at the current company. Been married for how long? Nearly 12 years. Staying committed, that's a sign of, that will make you secure in yourself when you can stay committed to things after you've been decisive. Next is being a leader, knowing how to manage and motivate other people, knowing that not all people are motivated by the same thing. You have to figure out what motivates that person and speak truth into that. Next is being a good communicator. In other words, making complicated concepts seem simple. And that's one of those things, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And a lot of it comes to, you do all these other things on the list, that sort of starts to come natural. And next is being funny. So many different types of humor. If nothing else, knowing what you're good and bad at helps you know what to make fun of yourself for. The things you're bad at, I will laugh, I will joke all day long, talking about what a horrible home repairman I am in our home. I'm aware of it, I'm not insecure about it, but I'm aware of that weakness of mine. And then lastly, being emotionally intelligent, knowing that yes, emotions matter. Men need to cry at the right time. Men need to feel things, but for the most part, you need to reserve those for special times. Those are those special weapons when you really need to feel something, instead of wearing it on your sleeve and allowing that person who flips you off to get angry back at them. Instead, going back to the whole thing about forgiveness and all that, just a matter of, why would I allow them to affect my emotions? That's their problem, it's not mine. So there you go. It is your decision whether or not you're insecure. It's the default to be insecure. But I've just made a 13-minute video to really give you training on how to step out of that to change your way of thinking. Because it's all about your way of thinking. It's not about how you look. That's a juvenile concept that changes after high school. Once you get into college, you realize, wow, if you're still focused on your own looks, then you are going to definitely be out of touch with reality as far as how people are going to actually be treating each other. Your comments belong right here.